All right, everybody, you're probably watching this after the hockey game. We're in between periods at this point, but we wanted to just make a quick little video because we went to vote in the Ontario provincial election. Now, as we postulated about doing and we ended up following through, we declined our ballots. Now, we're not saying that everybody else has to follow our example. Make your own decisions, do your own due diligence, vote for whomever you think is going to be the best for you. But we wanted to go through a little bit about the process of declining your ballot and what to expect.
Yeah, so those of you that live in Ontario, like we do, you know there's a provincial election going on right now. And if you're like us, you may not be impressed with the candidates. So what do you do if you want to vote because you want to exercise your democratic right to do so, but you don't like any of the candidates? Well, if you're in Ontario, you can vote for none of the above, also known as rejecting your ballot, also known as declining your ballot, also known as a protest vote. So how does this work? This only works at the provincial level in 4 provinces: Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. You cannot do this during a federal election. It is only when you are going to elect your MPP or MLA, and that's in the provincial election.
So it's actually a very easy process, folks. So you walk into the polling center. They will direct you over to the table to essentially register. Make sure you bring a piece of government ID to prove that you are indeed a Canadian citizen, and that way you're eligible to vote. Then once you hand over your ID, they will look you up on the register, confirm what your address is, and then they will give you a little folder with your ballot that's inside, and then they will hand that to you and say you can go and cast your ballot over in some area over
behind
there.
The screen. Yeah.
And so what you can then do is you can take that and then you can then say, actually, I would like to decline my ballot, please. And they don't get it a lot, so some of them may be a little confused, but they may ask their supervisor what to do. But what they will essentially do is they will take your ballot out of the folder, fold it in half, and then write declined on it, and then that is put back in the folder, and that is your vote.
So what is the purpose of declining your ballot if this is what you decide to do? Again, we're not encouraging you to decline your ballot. We just want you to know that there is other options than staying at home and not voting at all, voting for a candidate whose name appears on the ballot, or spoiling your ballot maybe by checking them all off or writing something in the margins. Don't spoil your ballot. Those get counted differently. So declining your ballot is saying to Elections Ontario, I came here to vote. I mean business. But when I got here, the names on the ballot were not good enough. None of these candidates represent what I believe, and I don't want to vote for any of them.
And none of them deserved my vote.
Right. And this is different than if you spoiled your ballot, which again, we don't want you to do. And it's also different than if you were to stay home and not vote at all. Essentially, you're voting for none of the above.
And what this does is it creates a very important statistic that all of the parties pay attention to, because all the parties pay attention to these people that decline their ballots, and they know that they showed up, they wanted to vote, but none of the parties were good enough. So the parties know that that is a vote they could have had.
Right.
So this is why this is actually very important. And it makes them think a little bit more about what their platform is. Why didn't I get their vote? And I think there's going to be a lot of people declining their ballot based on kind of what we heard.
There might be. Now, this is just the pre-polls, the early polls. Ryan and I almost always go to the early polls because there's fewer people there.
There's no lines.
Honestly, we were in and out in under 5 minutes. But the only candidate that we've had come to our door was the Conservative candidate. We haven't had the NDP candidate come canvassing, nor the Liberal, nor the New Blue, or the Green, or anybody else. The only one was the Conservative candidate. I think that says something, especially since I mean, when we're not home, we get the information on the doorbell, and nobody rang our doorbell while we were in Ottawa.
Well, and we're home a lot now, so.
Right, that's my point. The other thing I think it says is it tells the candidates and it tells the parties that I came out to vote, and what you're offering is not good enough for my vote.
Right. So, since we're in the middle of the election, we're not going to kind of give our specific views on Doug Ford and the Conservatives or anything like that, because this needs to be your choice and we don't want to be influencing that.
Again, we typically stick within the federal realm, but right now the provincial election is going on. We have the advance polls going on until February the 22nd, and election day is February the 27th. To find out where you can vote, if you haven't received your voter card in the mail yet, you can Google Elections Ontario, and then there is a part right on the main page where you click to find out where you can vote. You type in your postal code, you may have to select your street address, and then it'll tell you where you can go to cast your ballot.
And that's pretty much it, folks. So if you're interested in doing that, that's how you do it. But any way you look at it, remember the stats. There's a large amount of people that don't get out and vote. So it's important to get out there and do something, right? Either vote for a candidate, or if you don't like any of the candidates, you always have that option of declining your ballot in those 4 provinces that Tony mentioned, especially for us in Ontario. So those are your options, and it lets them know that they could have had a vote.
Right, and it also counts towards the percentage of electors who did come out to vote. If you stay home, that counts towards the percentage of electors who didn't vote. But if you go and you do want to decline your ballot, that is showing that I came out to vote, and you're counted among those electors who came out to vote.
Right. So anyway, folks, hope that was enough information for you. So happy voting, and get out and exercise your democratic right. You've earned it by being born here or by earning your citizenship here. So get her done.